Hi there, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting. This is my second attempt at doing a video for this box. Just didn't go right. It was going really well until the last 10 seconds and then I absolutely mucked it up. So what I've been making are these boxes. Difficult to show you when the camera's facing down, but without spilling everything that's in here, this is what they look like. They're little origami bins or boxes, or I don't know what you want to call them, but they're not. And I've just filled these with pegs, because when you first make it, you need to fill it with something so that it starts to keep its shape because of the way that we make the bottom. So that is using a 21 centimetre square piece of DSP. Love this DSP. And I've also made it in a 6-inch square piece of DSP. So I got lots of 6-inch square bits of DSP because I do paper shares. So I end up with bits and pieces of 6x6. So you can make a little dinky one. But what I'm going to do is make one, it's slightly smaller, just going by the size of the paper that I had left. But you can make this any size. As long as you've got a square, it doesn't matter. The other thing I would say is that the direction of the paper, there should be no direction, because you just can't guarantee in which direction it's going here, and I've not tried to sit down and work it out. So without further ado, let me show you how to put this together. So first of all, decide what side you want to see on the outside of your box, so on that side. But what's all lovely about Stampin' Up! DSP is they always have a lovely contrast on the inside. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take your square of DSP and you are going to fold it in half like that. I already had a score line there because when I cut the paper I just scored it. Okay, so just fold it in half. And you always want to make sure at this point that you've got the fold here at the bottom. And then what you're going to do is then fold, take this bottom corner, bring it up here until this raw edge meets that raw edge. And what you're doing is that you're cutting this corner in half. And with all of these, you want to make sure that you get your folds as accurate as possible. I'm a little bit off there, but it's there now. It's because I can't get my head right on the top of it because the camera's in the way, but make sure that you get those to match. That shouldn't make too much difference. So once you've done that one, you're going to flip it over and you're going to do exactly the same. So every now and again I like to do tutorials that have no stamping in them at all, and this one has. You could put stamping if you want, you could stamp your own paper and create it. But this one is just pure folding with a little bit of glue. So we fold that one up that way and we folded that one up that way. So what you have up here, all the raw edges, and then you've got your point down here. So use the bone folder or the flat side of a ruler just to really burnish those creases, and it will help the whole thing stay together. So I've got this going on here. So just turn it that way so you've got the points at either end, and then go right into the middle. Open this up. So what you have is this. Open it up, put your hand in there. Let's try that again. Open it up. And what I want to do is get these 2 points to meet each other. But what you might need to do is just get your bone folder in there just to make sure carefully that that is going to go right out to that point. So open it up and then make those 2 points join. So join them up at the top, lay it down flat, and then very carefully put your finger down to that bottom point. And then very carefully just then push to there. Don't rush this. You don't want the paper to buckle and then crease in all the wrong places. And you want that nice and flat. One thing I would say about the paper that I'm using here is the slightly thinner than the thicker DSP. I find that we have like 3 grades of DSP. We have the really thick stuff, and then you've got your middle of the road stuff, and then this one, which was pressed petals, was more like thick paper. So this is ideal for this project. I don't recommend it with cardstock. I think it would just look battered. But I made this with normal grade DSP, just normal weight DSP, and this came out quite well. The heavier ones could be a bit difficult, and because we're really creasing these to within an inch of their lives, if you're using anything that's got any type of coating on it, it's going to split. So I'd go for just ordinary DSP. Okay, so we've got this, and we've just got these flaps going on up here. So we've got this one, and then we've got these two in the middle, and then we've got this one. So the first thing you're going to do, we are looking at these sides here. And what we've got this, and then we've got one behind it. And this side we've got this, and there's one behind it. So starting on this side, just take one layer, and if you bring it into the middle, so exactly in the middle between the top and the bottom point, you get a square box. Let me show you. So you get a square box. So if you want a square box, then you are going to take this into the middle. If you want a tapered box, then you're going to take it just a little bit higher than the middle. Okay, and the higher it goes, then the narrower it becomes at the bottom here. Okay, so that choice is yours. And I would recommend that you practice this on some very light, kind of like photocopy style paper. So I'm just going to bring this, I want a tapered one, so I'm going to bring this just a little bit higher, perhaps a, I don't know, 1.5 centimetres maybe. Experiment with it, see what you prefer. So I pick my point, that point has got to go right up to that score line. Bring your finger down and then just push that crease. So once you've made that crease, you're then able to, that then sets the angle for everything else. So bring this flap up, and then that meets that point there on that score line. And then just fold that down and burnish that. Turn it round, and you're going to do exactly the same. So if you bring this up, then what you're doing is you're bringing the point over to the score line, or to the fold line there in the middle, this one, but then watch what's going on here and then make that match so that they run flush. But you've got to have that point on that score line. So if any of your folds are a little bit off centre, mine doesn't exactly match, it's just a smidge off. It still works, but you want that smidge to be as little as possible, ideally not there at all. Bring this over, match your point, hold it down, and then you're going to fold that and then crease it. So we've got this kind of a kite-ish looking shape. So now we've got these flaps here. So we've got this, we've got these two middle ones, these two kind of like bunny ear things, and then one at the back. So the front one, you're going to fold it over until it meets this here. So bring it over, it kind of only folds so far anyway. At this point, you want to be very careful that you're not going to tear the paper. Now, slightly differently to what I've done before, just a slight variation on this. Do I do this yet? Yes, I do. What I'm going to do is glue this down. I try to kind of think off the cuff when I think, oh yeah, that'll work. And then it goes wrong. So let's see what happens. So the glue will come out the pot. I'm going to glue that down. Like that. I'm just going to hold that there for a second because I'm using wet glue. And it's smooshed out a little bit. And then turn it round. And then we're going to fold this over like that. Crease it, a little bit of glue underneath. And then just hold that down for a second. So we've just formed two sides now of our box. Now we need to form the other two sides. And the way in which we do that is, so you've got here, if you just going to turn this over a bit, we've got that there and we've got that there. So what we're going to do is turn that over, the back one, turn that back. So now we've got that exactly as we had before, and then you're going to fold those over. And we're going to put a little bit of glue there. And that's going to smoosh out, I reckon. Yes, it is. Well done, Donna. Right, so I'm going to wipe over here. I've got really covered in glue. Let's just wipe my hands. Okay. Right, let's got the glue off my hands. And then turn it over and we'll do the same thing without getting covered in glue. And I'm going to put my glue a little bit further down. Fold it over and we'll just hold that down for a second or two. So just while all that glue is setting, what we have here where our point is, this is where the sides come down and then it just changes angle and comes down to a point. And what we're going to do at that point where it changes angle, we're going to fold it. Now, if you're using thicker DSP, this is when you have a little bit of a fight on your hands because we've got lots of layers of paper there. So fold it up and really give it a push. If you've got quite weak hands, if you suffer from arthritis or anything like that, get somebody else to help you do that bit. Fold it back over the other way and give that a good crease. And what you're doing is that you are forming the bottom. So now, if we look at it from the top, we can start to open our box. We start to go in and open it up. But the bottom at the moment is poking out like that. And we just want to carefully flatten it. And all it does is just to push it in. And there we have it. There's your bin. Now, I would recommend that you fill it with something so it can form its shape and do that overnight. So I'm going to get these pegs are well travelled. I'm going to put my pegs in there. So depending on what you use your box for, so this is with thinner DSP. So I would put something quite light in there. With this one, and then also with my square one, I'll tell you what was good for this square one. And the only difference I did here was that I brought those, remember those side flaps, I brought those into the middle, and then all of this just needs gluing down, and then I fussy cut a flower and just popped that over it to hold it all together. These, I realised, held post-it notes absolutely perfectly, and I think what I would do is just make it, lost my other pack of post-it notes, just make it a tad wider. So I think this one was 21 centimetres, which is 8 1/4, which is ideal if you're using a piece of A4 cardstock. That's UK A4 cardstock. But yeah, if you made it just a tad bigger, look, it just fits a post-it note in there nice. The other thing I noticed that it fitted, and I've put them away. I think I put it away. Oops, is fitted a block. So I've got a block, and then I can chuck some glue in there. And what else can I put in there that I've got on my table? I might put my snips in there as well. And then I've just got a little box to sit on my craft table. So some variations on boxes there, tiddly ones, but there's a little bit of a fight involved when you're trying to make those. That's a nice size. So you're looking at approximately 20 to 21 centimetres square. I think that works out at I'm sure 21 centimetres is 8 1/4 inches. But it has to be square, and also watch the direction of your paper. Make sure that you are using paper that's got no direction on the pattern. So thank you ever so much for joining me. I hope you liked that. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it. Come and subscribe if you want to see any others. Let me show you what I'm working on next. This. I saw one of those little mini videos on Pinterest and I thought I can make that. And up to that point I could, but the base is a little bit of a struggle to get the right size. So I'm just working on that. So come and subscribe, and then as soon as that's ready, you'll get a notification from me. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back again soon with another project. See you then. Bye bye.